if money can't buy happiness, then why does the entire world seem to be chasing it? It's a question that keeps us up at night, fuels our careers, and shapes our societies. What if the answer isn't just philosophy, but a science? Welcome to the Economy Unpacked Daily YouTube channel. From Wall Street to your street, we share the world of money in a clear way. Today, we're diving into happiness economics, a revolutionary field where psychology, sociology, and economics collide to answer that timeless question. And it all starts with a fascinating puzzle known as the Easterlin paradox of discovery that reveals a shocking disconnect between what we believe about money and what the data actually shows. Stay with us as we unpack whether wealth is truly the key to well-being. The journey into happiness economics began in the 1970s. Thanks to the pioneering work of economist Richard Easterlin, he looked at decades of data and found something startling. While a country's GDP could skyrocket, the average happiness of its citizens often didn't follow suit. This finding, the Easterlin paradox, was a radical departure from traditional economic thinking, which had long assumed that a richer nation was automatically a happier one. Easterlin's work sparked a monumental shift. Economists and policymakers began to question whether GDP growth should be the sole measure of a nation's success. Suddenly, the focus started moving from purely financial metrics to indicators of well-being. This conceptual leap led countries like Bhutan to famously champion its Gross National Happiness Index over gross domestic product. Following this path, nations like Finland and New Zealand have also integrated well-being into their national policies, proving that a country's success can be measured in smiles, not just dollars. So, let's get to the core of it. What is the actual relationship between money and happiness? For years, the debate was purely philosophical, but in 2010, Nobel laureates Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton provided a data-driven answer. Their landmark study found that in the United States, emotional well-being does rise with income, but only up to a point around $75,000 per year. Beyond that threshold, the happiness curve begins to flatten. This phenomenon is known as the diminishing marginal utility of income. Essentially, an extra $1,000 means the world when you're struggling to pay rent and buy groceries. But it adds very little to your daily joy when you're already financially secure. The research clarifies that it's not luxury that buys happiness, but the financial stability, freedom, and control that money provides. It's the peace of mind from knowing you can handle an unexpected medical bill, not the fleeting thrill of a designer watch. If the relationship between money and happiness were simple, the world's wealthiest nations would also be the happiest. But they're not. The World Happiness Report consistently shows that countries like the US, UK, and Australia, despite their high GDP per capita, are often outranked by their Nordic counterparts. So, what's their secret? The answer lies in culture and social structure. Nordic countries like Finland, Denmark, and Iceland have built societies centered on equality, high levels of social trust, and a strong emphasis on work-life balance. Their policies reflect these values, with robust social safety nets, accessible mental health care, and family-friendly work arrangements. This highlights a crucial insight. Happiness isn't just an economic variable, it's deeply cultural. The data shows that factors like community trust and strong social connections often impact well-being far more than a nation. So, overall wealth, money doesn't exist in a vacuum. It interacts with the social fabric that holds a society together. To understand why a bigger paycheck doesn't always lead to a bigger smile, we need to look at the psychological mechanisms at play. One of the most powerful is hedonic adaptation. This is the human tendency to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative life changes. That new car or promotion feels amazing at first, but soon enough, it becomes the new normal, and our happiness baseline resets. Behavioral economists have also identified a key difference in how we spend. Research shows that spending money on experiences like a vacation, a concert, or a meal with loved ones tends to generate more lasting happiness than spending on material goods. Memories appreciate in value over time, while the joy from a new gadget quickly fades. Furthermore, our happiness is often undermined by status anxiety, the comparison-driven unhappiness that comes from trying to keep up with the Joneses. As scholars like Kahneman and Deaton have noted, our satisfaction is often based not on what we have, but on what we have relative to others. The conversation about happiness isn't complete without addressing inequality. Research consistently shows that high levels of income inequality reduce the overall happiness of an entire society, not just the poor. When the gap between the rich and the poor widens, social trust erodes, stress levels rise, and a sense of unfairness permeates the culture. A stark comparison can be made between the United States and the Scandinavian countries. While both regions have high levels of wealth, their societal structures are vastly different. The U.S. has significantly higher income inequality, which correlates with lower overall happiness and social cohesion compared to the more egalitarian Nordic nations. The relentless pursuit of productivity at all costs often leads to a culture of overwork, burnout, and social alienation. These are the hidden costs of an economic system that prioritizes growth above all else, creating a happiness gap that wealth alone cannot bridge. If money isn't the ultimate driver of happiness, what is? Positive psychology offers a compelling framework called the PERMA model, developed by Martin Seligman. It identifies 5 core elements of well-being: positive emotion, engagement, being in a state of flow, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. These non-financial drivers often outweigh income in determining long-term life satisfaction. Think about the retiree who finds immense joy in volunteering, the artist who lives modestly but feels fulfilled by their creative work, or the parent who prioritizes time with their children over a higher-paying job. These real-life examples show us that purpose, autonomy in our work, good health, and strong social bonds are the true pillars of a happy life. It's as a powerful reminder to rethink what success and wealth truly mean in our modern economy. This focus on well-being is no longer just a theoretical exercise. It's actively shaping government policy around the world. Economists and policymakers are now using subjective well-being (SWB) as a legitimate metric to guide their decisions. This has given rise to powerful tools like the OECD's Better Life Index, which compares countries across 11 dimensions of well-being, from housing to work-life balance. In the UK, the Office for National Statistics has been conducting a national happiness survey for over a decade to inform public policy. These metrics are leading to tangible reforms. We're seeing more discussions around shorter work weeks to combat burnout, increased investment in public mental health services, and even experiments with Universal Basic Income (UBI) to provide a floor of financial security. By measuring what truly matters, governments are proving that happiness economics is not a soft science, but a practical tool for building better, more humane societies. Looking ahead, the field of happiness economics is poised to tackle some of the 21st century's biggest challenges. As artificial intelligence and automation reshape the labor market, our very definition of work, freedom, and satisfaction will be called into question. Will we use these technologies to liberate ourselves for more meaningful pursuits, or will we double down on productivity at the expense of our well-being? This brings us to the concept of economic sustainability, not just in environmental terms, but in human terms. The future may involve shifting our collective goal from infinite GDP growth to a more balanced pursuit of quality of life. We are already seeing the rise of purpose-driven capitalism, where companies are evaluated on their social and environmental impact, not just their quarterly profits. The future of happiness economics is an optimistic one, suggesting that with the right ethical framework, technology, and economic policy can be harnessed to build a world where well-being is the ultimate measure of success. So, we come back to our initial question. Can money buy happiness? The evidence is clear, yes, but only up to a point. Money is a powerful tool that can build a foundation of security and freedom, but it cannot build the house of happiness on its own. That requires the non-financial materials of strong relationships, a sense of purpose, meaningful experiences, and a supportive community. In the end, perhaps the most valuable lesson from happiness economics is that true wealth, isn't something you can count. It's something you feel. Money is a tool, not a destination. We hope this journey into the economics of happiness has given you a new perspective on wealth and well-being. What is your personal definition of wealth? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content from Economy Unpacked Daily. Thanks for watching.